High school hallways are loud, chaotic, and unforgiving, especially to those who don't fit in. Emily Carter walked through those halls every morning with her head down, hoping to disappear into the noise. She wasn't loud, popular, or confident. She was simply invisible to most and a target to a few. Jessica Morrow noticed Emily immediately, the way predators always spot vulnerability. A quiet laugh escaped her lips as she leaned toward Ryan Holt. To them, Emily wasn't a person, she was entertainment, and every day, they found new ways to remind her of that. In class, Emily tried to focus, but whispers followed her like a shadow when the teacher asked a question. Her hand rose slowly, unsure, before she could speak. Laughter erupted from the back of the room. Her answer was drowned by mockery she didn't deserve. Mr. Davis cleared his throat and continued the lesson as if nothing had happened. Emily sank into her seat, realizing silence could hurt as much as cruelty. She learned early that not all adults protect you. Some simply look away. Lunch was the hardest part of the day. Tables filled quickly, laughter echoing across the room. Emily sat alone near the corner, pretending not to notice the empty seat across from her. She ate quietly, counting minutes instead of bites. Jessica didn't stop at whispers. She spilled a drink on Emily's notebook and laughed loudly, making sure everyone saw. Ryan joined in, clapping sarcastically. Emily froze, her face burning with shame. Emily wanted to speak, to defend herself, but the words wouldn't come. Years of silence had trained her to endure rather than react. She wiped her notebook and stood up without a word. The quiet response hurt them less, but it scarred her deeply. When the final bell rang, students rushed out laughing, relieved to escape. Emily walked home alone, replaying every insult in her head. She wondered if life would always feel this heavy at that moment. She didn't know it wouldn't. Home was the only place Emily felt safe. Her father listened quietly as she spoke about school, never interrupting. He didn't promise revenge or justice. He promised belief. That night, Emily stared at the ceiling and made a silent promise. She would survive this. She would grow beyond those hallways and the people who ruled them. No one heard that promise, but it would shape everything. Graduation arrived faster than Emily expected. Caps flew into the air as cheers filled the field. Jessica and Ryan celebrated loudly, convinced life had already crowned them winners. Emily smiled softly, knowing her story was just beginning. Life moved on, as it always does. Emily disappeared from their memories, just another forgotten face. But while others settled, she worked, and while others bragged, she learned. College wasn't easy, but it was different. No one knew her past. She stayed late, studied harder, and spoke less but listened more. Pain had taught her discipline. Her first job was small and exhausting. She wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but she was the most prepared. Slowly, people noticed. Respect replaced ridicule. No one from her past saw her growth. Jessica and Ryan lived loudly online, showing of surface success. Emily stayed invisible by choice. Power, she learned, didn't need an audience. Years later, Emily walked into a towering corporate building. Her posture was calm, her expression unreadable. She wasn't nervous. She belonged here. The company logo shined above the entrance. Carter Holdings. Employees bustled around, unaware of who had just arrived. Emily glanced up, remembering her father's quiet faith. Today, that faith would be revealed. Meanwhile, Jessica sat in a cramped office, frustrated and restless. Life hadn't delivered the spotlight she expected. She blamed everyone but herself. Opportunity was coming, but not the way she imagined. Ryan wasn't doing much better. Confidence had turned into entitlement. He chased promotions he hadn't earned, and today, he had an interview that could change everything. Neither of them realized they were heading to the same place, the same building, the same future. Fate has a quiet sense of humor. Inside the boardroom, executives whispered about a leadership transition. The new boss was arriving today. No one knew her face yet. Anticipation filled the room. Emily stood outside the boardroom doors, breathing steadily. She wasn't thinking about revenge. She was thinking about responsibility. Power, she knew, should be quiet. Jessica entered the same floor, heels clicking with confidence. She believed today was her breakthrough. She had no idea whose world she was walking into. Ryan followed shortly after, rehearsing charm in his head. He straightened his posture, unaware that the past never stays buried forever, especially not today. The boardroom doors closed softly behind Emily. Inside, history waited. Outside, The bullies prepared to impress a boss they never expected to meet, and the balance of power was about to shift. The room fell silent as the board members straightened in their seats. Papers stopped shuffling. Phones were placed face down. Everyone sensed the weight of the moment, even if they didn't yet understand why. Emily stepped forward calmly, her heels echoing softly against the marble floor. Her face showed no nervousness, no pride, only focus. To the people watching, she appeared young. To those who understood power, she appeared ready. No one recognized her yet. To them, she was just another executive appointment, a name on a file, a title waiting to be explained. From the far side of the room, Jessica watched closely. Something about Emily's posture unsettled her. The calm confidence felt familiar in a way she couldn't explain. Ryan leaned back in his chair, forcing a smile. He assumed this was just another executive who needed impressing. He had no idea he was already being evaluated. The chairman cleared his throat and spoke clearly. Emily Carter was introduced as the new chief executive officer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Emily Carter, the new Chief Executive Officer.
The title hung in the air longer than expected. Soft murmurs rippled across the room. Some were impressed. Others were doubtful. Jessica's smile faded slightly, replaced by confusion. Emily thanked them in a steady voice. She spoke about responsibility, growth, and long-term vision. Not once did she raise her voice. She didn't need to. Jessica felt a strange pull at the back of her memory. The voice. The eyes. Something felt uncomfortably familiar. Brian nodded enthusiastically, hoping to stand out. He leaned forward as if already aligning himself with power. Emily noticed everything and said nothing. The meeting concluded smoothly. Instructions were given. Expectations were set, and just like that, Emily became the most powerful person in the room. Outside the boardroom, employees crossed paths. Jessica stepped out confidently until her eyes met Emily's directly. Time seemed to pause. Emily's face remained neutral. Jessica's did not. A flicker of recognition passed through her eyes, followed quickly by denial. Ryan stepped between them, extending his hand confidently. He introduced himself with pride, unaware of how small the gesture truly was. Emily shook his hand politely. Her grip was firm, professional, and brief. Ryan smiled wider, mistaking courtesy for approval. Jessica followed with a polished smile and a compliment. Emily accepted it graciously. No emotion surfaced that unsettled Jessica more than hostility would have. Emily excused herself and walked down the hallway without looking back. Her heels echoed with quiet authority. Behind her, uncertainty spread. Jessica's confidence cracked the moment Emily disappeared. Her mind raced through memories she had buried years ago. The possibility terrified her. Ryan laughed it off, dismissing Jessica's worry. To him, power was something you controlled. He hadn't yet learned it could also be patient. Emily entered her new office overlooking the city. The space was elegant, quiet, and powerful. She stood by the window, remembering a girl who once felt invisible. For a moment, the past flashed through her mind. Lockers, laughter, silence. She didn't flinch. Those memories no longer controlled her. Her father's voice echoed in her thoughts. Power doesn't shout, it waits. Emily straightened her shoulders, ready. She reviewed personnel files carefully. Names surfaced. Histories aligned. She paused briefly at two familiar ones. Jessica's record was polished on the surface, but patterns appeared beneath. Emily noted them silently. Ryan's file told a different story, ambition without consistency. Emily closed the file gently. The game had already begun. The email arrived just after sunrise. A company-wide announcement calling for performance reviews and departmental restructuring. Some employees felt excitement, others felt fear. Emily had chosen her first move carefully. Jessica reread the email twice. The words were polite, but the meaning was sharp. Reviews meant exposure, and exposure meant nowhere to hide. Ryan scoffed when he read the same message. He leaned back in his chair, convinced charm would carry him through. It always had until now. From her glass office, Emily watched the floor below. Conversation shifted. Energy changed. Pressure revealed truth faster than time ever could. Jessica and Ryan were both summoned to separate meetings. Same time, same floor, neither noticed the symmetry. Emily did. Jessica entered her meeting smiling, confident as ever. She expected praise. What she received instead was silence. The questions were calm, precise, and relentless. Numbers didn't match promises. Leadership feedback told a different story. Jessica's confidence thinned with every answer. Ryan walked into his meeting relaxed. He joked lightly, waiting for laughter that never came. The silence unsettled him. Shots appeared on the screen, missed targets, unfinished projects. Ryan stared, realizing excuses had expiration dates. Emily reviewed summaries in silence. No emotion crossed her face. This wasn't personal. It was overdue. Whispers spread across the office floor. Something was changing. Old favorites no longer felt protected. Jessica retreated to the restroom, gripping the sink. The reflection staring back wasn't invincible anymore. Fear had found its way in. Brian tried reconnecting with coworkers he once ignored. Conversations felt colder now. Influence without substance had limits. Another email arrived. Mandatory attendance. No agenda attached. Anxiety rippled instantly. The conference hall filled quickly. No one spoke above a whisper. Authority had finally entered the room. Emily stepped onto the stage calmly. She waited until silence was complete. Respect followed naturally. She spoke about integrity, about results, about how leadership is earned daily. Each word landed heavier than the last. Jessica sat frozen. The message felt directed. Her chest tightened as memory and reality collided. Ryan adjusted his tie repeatedly. For the first time, charm felt useless. He realized visibility cuts both ways. Emily announced immediate leadership audits. No exceptions. No favoritism. Applause followed, but not from everyone. As she spoke, Emily remembered lockers and laughter. She didn't flinch. The past no longer had power. The crowd dispersed slowly. Conversations were quieter now. Everyone felt seen. Jessica finally connected the dots. The eyes, the calm, the silence. The girl she once mocked was now deciding her future. Ryan refused to believe it. Pride clung tighter than logic. Denial felt safer than accountability.
This can't be happening. Why now? I can't take this anymore.
From above, Emily watched the company settle into its new reality. Consequences had begun quietly, and they were only just warming up. Jessica received a private meeting request marked urgent. Her hands trembled slightly as she read it. No explanation, just a time, just a name. Ryan received the same message minutes later. He scoffed at first, then hesitated. Confidence no longer came automatically. They waited outside Emily's office separately. Neither spoke. The glass walls reflected faces they barely recognized. Inside, Emily reviewed one final document. She wasn't angry. She wasn't excited. She was ready. Jessica was called in first. Her heels clicked slower than usual. Confidence abandoned her halfway across the room. Emily gestured for her to sit without a word. The silence felt heavier than accusation. Jessica swallowed hard. Emily asked a simple question about leadership values. Jessica stumbled through rehearsed answers. None sounded convincing. Emily tilted her head slightly and mentioned a high school hallway, a spilled drink, laughter. Jessica froze. The truth landed slowly. Then all at once, Jessica finally saw her clearly. The girl she once bullied was sitting across from her. Emily didn't raise her voice. She didn't accuse. She spoke about choices and consequences. That hurt more. Emily slid the document forward. A termination agreement. Jessica's hands shook as she read it. Jessica stood slowly. Dignity cracked but intact. She left without protest. Silence followed her out. Ryan entered next with forced humor. It faded quickly. Emily's gaze didn't waver. Ryan denied everything at first. Blamed systems. Blamed others. Responsibility never crossed his lips. Emily reminded him of the girl he laughed at. The silence afterward was deafening. He tried to apologize too late. Emily listened, then shook her head gently. Timing matters. Ryan wasn't fired. He was demoted, forced to rebuild without shortcuts. Consequences, not cruelty. Later that day, Emily's father visited the office. Pride filled his eyes, but he said little. He told her she led with fairness. That mattered more than victory. Emily smiled softly.
Emily, you've handled this beautifully.
Thank you, Dad. That means a lot.
I'm always here for you.
Weeks passed. The company changed. Merit replaced favoritism. Silence was replaced with respect. Jessica started over elsewhere. The lesson stayed with her. Some does close so others can open. Ryan worked quietly now. No shortcuts. No applause. Just effort. Emily paused one evening. Looking out at the city lights, she remembered the girl who once wished to disappear. She realized she hadn't won anything. She had simply grown beyond the pain. That was enough. The girl they bullied never came back. The woman they underestimated never left.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. See you on the next story.